Hello everyone, my name is Alok Mishra and today in this video I am going to discuss allegory. So allegory is a term that mostly perplexes the first year English literature students as soon as they enter their classroom. This professor or that professor, this teacher or that teacher, this friend or that friend, this senior or that senior often brings this term allegory, allegorical work. What is an allegory? What do you mean by an allegory? And give some examples of some allegorical works. So allegory is a term that simply can be defined to make you understand. It is a story within a story. Now this was the example that helped me understand this term in my first year. So a story within a story is something that we can understand in better terms, like if you read a work of literature and you understand it as in the work of literature itself, and then if you think that this particular work of literature is suggesting something which is way larger, beyond, and complex than what it seems. And the best example that I can give you right away is Aesop's tale of a tortoise and a hare. So there is a race between a tortoise and a hare, and one reaches the finish line first, and the one that reaches the finish line first is tortoise, ironically and surprisingly. The hare, it remains somewhere in the middle, eating, sleeping, doing things of all sort. So, do you think that such a race could have happened and Aesop may have observed the race? No. So this is an allegorical sort of story which tells us that we must remain focused on our goals if we want to achieve our goals, like tortoise. So the idea or the lesson that we can derive from this sort of story, allegorical sort of story, is slow and steady wins the race. A very popular phrase that you must have heard many times from your parents, from your teachers, from your professors and friends, and also from motivational speakers. Tortoise represents all those who, irrespective of their resources or their constraints, keep focused on the goals and keep working hard. Hare, on the other hand, represents all those who may have resources, who may have means, who may have the medium to achieve their goals, but they rather tend to do many things else. They open many different windows in their lives, but cannot remain focused and thus lose the race of the life. So an allegorical tale or an allegorical work of literature is designed in such a way that the characters, the actions, or the setup of the literary work mean something which is actually happening, and also things which are suggested, which are not present in apparent nature of the work, but are rather suggested or hinted by the author who has composed that particular work of literature. And when we get into the depths of an allegory, so this literary device may be executed in different forms. You must have heard fable, F-A-B-L-E. Now, a fable is a type of allegorical work which includes animals as the characters and they can speak like humans. So these animals are designed in such a way in the form of characters that they represent their human types. Now, if you remember the fable, the grapes are sour. And in the grapes are sour, the fable, there is a fox. So now this fox, in spite of many different attempts, cannot have a taste of the grapes in the garden. And when it fails after many attempts, the fox declares, I don't care, the grapes are sour. So this fox represents all those who cannot achieve something, but when they fail in their achievements, they rather blame the achievements or belittle the achievements themselves. Do you know such foxes in your life? And there is another allegorical type, which is parable. Parable. Now, a parable is a short narrative, mostly narrative itself, or rather a short story, or anything which is short in length. And it is mostly used to deliver a moral lesson, a philosophical lesson, or a religious lesson. Many scholars believe that the best examples of parable that you can find are in the Bible. I would rather suggest, if you remember the tale of Ramayana, Indian historical heritage. In the Ramayana, there is a short episode when Sri Ram is waiting at the bank of the ocean. He prays the ocean to give him and his valiant generals of the army away to Sri Lanka. But in spite of praying, in spite of coaxing, the ocean or the Samudra Devata does not appear or does not help Sri Ram. So what does he do? In the end, Lakshman brings the bow and the arrow, and Sri Ram tries to dry the ocean. And when seeing fear looming over his head, Samudra Devata appears and he asks for forgiveness or pardon from Prabhu Ram, and then he shows the way to create a bridge through the help of Neel and Nal. So in this parable, what we hear is very wonderfully, aptly summarized in a poem. I don't remember the title. क्षमा शोभती उस भुजंग को जिसके पास गरल हो, उसका क्या जो दंतहीन विश्रहित विनित सरल हो. So Sri Ram, in spite of having so much might and power, first of all tries to pray the ocean, but when the ocean does not respond, then he tries to use his might and the ocean responds immediately. But he still forgives the ocean. So in this parable, we understand that we should start with simple ways, but when things don't work out, then we can use our force and might. But in spite of having so much force and might, if we have a chance, we must forgive those who are weak. So, after fable and a parable, I will tell you about the third type of allegorical device, that is an exemplum. And M.H. Abrams defines it as a text, a short text rather, which is designed in a way of sermon, religious sermon. And you can find examples in the works by Chaucer, Nun's Priest's Tale, or also in the works of Bible or biblical in nature. So we can shorten or we can cut short this discussion or conversation by putting everything in place once again. So what is an allegory? An allegory is a device that helps the authors of works of literature to produce or compose their works in a nature or in a way that it does not only tell the tale that it is supposed to tell with the help of characters, setup, and themes, but it also suggests something which is larger in nature. So the characters or the setup or the actions are designed in a way that they mean something more than what they seemingly or apparently mean. And the best examples are Aesop's fable, Panchtantra tales, or Chaucer's the prologue to the Canterbury Tales, or Jonathan Swift's the Gulliver's Tales, or even an epistle to Dr. Arbuthnot. So in this work, Alexander Pope does not address a particular person only, not only Arbuthnot, but he is rather suggesting to imply that there are many Arbuthnauts in the world at that time who try to compose poems, whatever they can. Likewise, in Jonathan Swift's The Gulliver's Tales, when he suggests that there are longer people or there are shorter people, he actually means to suggest that we must not belittle someone because of their physical appearance or also because of their mental abilities. In Chaucer's The Prologue to the Canterbury Tales, he suggests different kinds of tale by different kinds of characters, and by telling those tales, he is also actually giving you a glimpse of the entire society. And you must remember there are many tales, there are many poems, and there are many works of literature which actually mean something more than what you can gauge from the first appearance. For example, another example, so that you just settle the score very clearly. If you remember the work by George Orwell, Animals Farm, so this is not about animals' revolution against the farmers. This was a bitter, a pinching satire on the Russian Revolution, which actually failed in the terms or in the eyes of George Orwell. So, an allegory is mostly a literary device that is used to employ or suggest a message which is bigger than the apparent setup of the work of literature, and an author can take the help of characters, setup, themes, and narrative itself. So this was an allegory, and I have tried to simplify it, and I also tried to give you all the possible types of an allegory which is majorly used in the works of literature. So, friends, I hope I have done the job here to make you understand what an allegory is and also discuss the types of an allegory. I hope this works for you. So, in the end, I hope it has worked out for you. Thank you for watching this video. I'll be back with more videos very soon. All the best. Have a good day.